really cool to be the first place, but it's more important to win every game. It's like the kill-death ratio. It's really cool to have a high KDA, but still it's more important to win a game.
Our secret to basically come that far is that we never underestimate our enemies, but there's none player that cannot be beaten on lane or whatsoever. Everyone does mistakes and you just have to learn how to punish them.
Welcome back to the analysis desk here in Cologne. Joining me is the lovely Jason Kaplan with his cool hair and Aranea from Spain. How are you doing, Aranea?
Aranea from Spain.
Aranea from Spain. When did you arrive, by the way? We didn't really talk about that. How was your whole trip here? I mean, you're not coming from the other end of the world, but still.
Oh, I arrived yesterday night at like 10, something like that, when after university, take the plane and came here, so it's fine.
How does your training schedule fit in with university? Because you said yourselves you were supposed to play with Dragonborns, have a second shot at qualifying, but you had to do exams.
Yeah, I was, on January was really tough for me because it was like, I had 4 exams, and after the last exams, I take my flight to go to Poland to play the LCS qualify, and right after I end the LCS qualify, I came back to Spain to do like 4 more exams. So it was like really hard weeks for me. Like
did you pass? Did you pass?
Half of them. Half of them.
Well, you were 50% awesome at least.
For an engineer, it's fine. It's not that bad.
I do have to ask this though, because we've had a lot of players who would drop out of school because they want to play professionally, or they're already in, and they have to make that decision between school and playing. What would your decision be if you were in LCS right now?
Well, for me and for my family, for my parents, they are like they want me to end something, at least like a career. I have I'm in 4th year of engineering, so I will need like this year and next year to end it. And after that, I can do whatever I want. I can stop not working and playing only video games. But first of all, they want me to end something, to end a career, to end studies, and then I can do whatever I want.
Build bridges. Build bridges between nations. He's like an international peacemaker with his engineering skills. So that last game we already touched on it. Obviously we've got Giants versus Fnatic coming up here next. Let's talk a little bit about that one, obviously, before we get into it. Obviously the teams need a little bit of time here to set the stuff up, so that's why we got these lovely interviews in between. So Giants, you know them probably better than a lot of people here, being from Spain. They're also from Spain.
I was on that team.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like almost 1 year of that team. We were called, first of all, Wizards, then we joined MYM. And then I think we left, and after we left MYM, I left the team as well. And I joined Navy with Citizen One and other guys. And they are really good. They are one of my favorite teams on LCS. They are one of these underdogs. They can really beat everyone here.
What do you think to their whole play style? I mean, they've already taken out Gambit, for example. That was probably the first upset that I think we can say we saw in LCS.
When I saw the Giants pick against Gambit Gaming, I was like, Giants is going to win. Because I think Gambit Gaming completely underestimate Giants. They let the best pick for Giants. It was I think Kennen, AD Kennen, top lane Olaf. It was the best pick for Samus. Ryze mid lane, the best pick for Exter. And in jungle, I don't know if it was Elise or
Mundo.
Mundo. Okay, well, it's probably the only non-main. But the rest were playing the main champions. And they completely destroyed them. But I expect that. It was you cannot undercare of a team like this. It's Giants. They qualified really strong, beating Fnatic, beating Alternate. And they led them their best picks for Giants.
Well, I mean, even Gambit said in their interviews that, they don't prepare for teams they don't think are, in the top 3 or top 4, and it kind of showed it there. And when they met the second time, Giants were still looking very strong, but it kind of just slipped away from them.
I think Gambit Gaming is perfect for that. Every time they play the first time against a team, they pretty much always lose. Even against underdogs or against top teams. We also saw it at Katowice. It was they played against Subu Blaze. It was group stage. And they lost really hard. It was a really, really easy game for Asubu Blaze. But then, for the next day, they played against Asubu Frost, and they destroyed them. And then the other Asubu at the final, and they destroyed them. So it was...
Go on, sorry.
No, it was like Gambit Gaming need to see something, and they prepare for it, train for it. They need replays to realize what they have to play, and that they are perfect for that.
But it's that kind of Gambit style anyway. We've seen it so often from them. They turn up to a tournament, and day one is Wow, where's Gambit here?
Yeah.
And then the next days they look unstoppable. Is that a little bit of the case here, do you think, in LCS as well? In terms of, it's a long season, 28 games they have to play. They're only, 6, I think, Gambit into it now. So either way, they're right at the beginning of the season. Is it a case of, getting started for them?
Yeah, I think they have, in the training, they always prepare for their own setups. They don't care about enemy setups. I mean, they don't prepare the enemy teams. They just prepare themselves to take something new, to prepare something new, to surprise the enemy team. But sometimes that's risky because if the enemy already have a TC setup, something already make a really good setup, they're gonna beat DG. But after all, at the end of the season, I think DG is gonna pretty much beat them all. I really hope so.
Yeah, there's a lot of prep work you need to do, and we did see them get countered by Fnatic. I mean, they run these very heavy CC compositions. Fnatic just poked them down and had a nice disengaged composition. But we talked about Giants, but what about Fnatic? I mean, we saw them play EG. We had Soaz in the top lane play Blitzcrank. I mean, talk to us about Fnatic, because they're just looking so solid right now.
Well, actually, Fnatic, I didn't expect them to be right now the top one. Because after the first week, I was like, okay, Peke is going to carry them all, but he can carry all the weeks. It's you can't depend only on one guy for the rest of the season. But right now, I think Yellowstar, I think Soath, I think Sanity, they are really on the top of the role. Sanity, he came back last week with Bolivia teleport. That's something really nice. Because right now we were talking about no one is playing aggressive in lane, then a teleport is perfect because they only go aggressive but they know 100% sure they're going to win a team fight. For example, a gang in bottom, then they go the 3v2 really deep. But if they don't have that 3v2, that advantage in number, they don't go. They don't really fight at all. And with a teleport, you can tricky that. You can wait for the gang, and when they gang, you teleport in, and then you win that team fight by the teleport. So it's really interesting to see that jungler with teleport.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. I mean, if you have it on the mid lane or the top laner, the enemy team can, obviously, unless they're back in base and they use that, they can generally see when a teleport's going to happen and call that one out. Whereas with a jungler, most of the time he's not on the map anyway. So surely it's kind of the perfect place to have that teleport.
Yeah, I was trying teleport on jungle as well, and there are some champions that really work in. For example, like Kha'Zix, champion with a jump. You can always buy as well. Even Kyle, something with really move speed. But still, it's something really, really hard to play, because if they play really aggressive against you in jungle, if they counter jungle you early game, it's gonna be really hard for you. You don't have escapeable, you don't have a flash to go out. So it's something risky.
And you mentioned about the star players of Fnatic, and I think N-Rated probably doesn't get talked about a lot, but in the game specifically versus EG, he's playing Leona, and he just did amazing. His initiates, his ultimates, and his calls set up his team every time.
Well, I didn't talk about Unrated because Unrated never underperformed. He was always probably with Peke carrying that team. But the first LCS week, I really saw Soath, Sanity, and Yellowstar playing not really good. Not at his max level, but right now they are everyone playing extremely good.
And what about, we talk about Peke, we talk about Giants here, a lot of Spanish players, and with Giants, we said they've had this upset against Gambit, they couldn't do it this second time around. Their performance, I guess we can say, is kind of mixed in a way. What are they lacking up to now? Because it's certainly not experience. They actually would go out and say that they've got some, in terms of time playing and what have you, some of the more experienced players in terms of tournaments. Actually,
yeah, Exeter and Babetta, they are one of the two more experienced guys in the LCS. But then Samus and Jimbo and Morton, they lack on experience.
Yeah.
But I will say something, personally, for me, Giants jungler, it's top 4 European jungle. He's amazing. He's played pretty much all Australian champions, like Elise jungle, Bolivia, Kha'Zix. He's playing a lot of champions. He's playing really good, every champion.
Is he the best Spanish jungler?
Of course.
Okay. just to clear that one up.
And I kind of want to talk to you about, because we mentioned Giants and, about how they're a really experienced team, and when it comes to the late game, they kind of seem to have the same problem that a lot of the newer teams have, is closing the game out. What's the big problem you see there? Why aren't these teams able to finally finish the game with that early advantage they have?
Well, you're asking me that, but I have to say that last week we saw it was Giants against Dragonborns.
Right.
That Dragonborns was already 8K ahead.
Well, actually, no. I believe it was, didn't Giants win the early game? Then they got picked off one by Dragonborns. They got in the lead, and then...
At mid-game,
okay, so they had the lead the whole time?
At mid-game, I saw like Dragonborns 8K ahead.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, poor Giants. And then it was like some team fights that Vi was going, Susei Vi was going to Caitlyn, but no one follow up Susei. And he was like, Caitlyn killing Vi, and I think it was Sonar Syra protecting Caitlyn from Vi. And they come back from an 8K disadvantage. That's something really, really good to see. Because it's like a non like top team coming back from 8K. It's really, really amazing from Giants.
Well, look at the other side of that coin for Dragonborns. I mean, does that show right there? Like the team fight late game is where most teams need to work on?
I think so. I think like the perfect example is ED. I mean, you don't see a single mistake from ED at late game team fight. They are like the wall leaders. I think it was Cold Templar, the Subfrost jungler, who said a sentence, came to my mind right now. It's something like, if any team can beat ED in late game, they are really good. Yeah. They are a top team. If you can beat ED in late game, you have to be like one of the best teams in the world, because they are the master of the late game.
Is the time then to beat EG while we're on that topic in the laning phase? Is that where you really have to make, such a big advantage that they can't come back for it? I mean, we've seen it before that Gambit back when they were Moscow 5, that famous game at DreamHack where they just slaughtered them. They took like 4 Barons, they'd pushed them all up there, and EG still managed to win that game. So, I mean, is it the early game that you've got to concentrate on to win that kind of matchup?
I think in that game you were talking about, it was DreamHack, I think it was, and it was almost 15K difference of goal.
Exactly.
It was like the huge difference, and they come back later. We played against EG in Gamescom, and we focused completely on early game, because we know like we have to deny Froggen's blue buff, and we focus on that. And that's exactly what Fnatic did last week with the Blitzcrank top lane. They were denying Froggen, and they were like in team fights focusing Froggen, because it's pretty much the boys on EG and team fights. Like Froggen positioning, I always say like it's perfect. With Anivia, he never does a single misposition. But against Leona, Blitzcrank, so much easy, you can't do anything.
Dodge it.
Yeah, very true indeed. And and we're talking about all the teams right now. Copenhagen Wolves, 0-8 at this point. I mean, it's a very hard position to be in. I was mentioning before, when they're 4 losses down, that there's no pressure on them to show up and play an amazing game. But now it's that point where you have to do something. How would you guys take that kind of situation? Like, how do you really come back from that? Like, what do you do as a team to take a step back and be like, guys, there's a problem here. We need to fix it, and we need to win our first game?
Well, I will say something that no one people will follow me with saying, but I believe in Jerson. I think like last week, it was the first week of Jerson. He only trained like for 5 days for that tournament, but now he had like 10 days training. So I guess they're gonna get some wins this weekend, this big Friday or this weekend. I hope they can get something, because as you said, they have no pressure, 0 pressure right now. So it's something good for them.
Well, do they have more pressure because they're 0-for-8? I mean, that's always a hard one to gauge. I mean, there are a lot of Copenhagen Wolves fans out there. I was actually quite surprised at how many people on Reddit, for example, are really rooting for Copenhagen Wolves. And I think that they only, it sounds strange that when they lose more games, they somehow gain more fans at the same time, because everyone's like, come on Wolves, you need to win this one. Oh, okay, a loss. Come on Wolves. And then, it's 10 more people every single time. Surely that means that there's pressure there as well.
I think when you are like 0-3, 0-4, you have pressure, like we have to win. But when you are 0-8, I don't really think you have pressure. Like, you have nothing to lose right now.
True.
Just like, do something risky, do something new, and try to make it work. You can go like 0-10. What is the difference from a 0-8 and 0-10? Is pretty much nothing.
Well, it's
right now.
A 0% win rate ratio, which is what you're looking for here to climb the table in European LCS. So let's hear a little bit of your predictions for this next game, Giants versus Fnatic.
I don't know. I'm a Spanish, and I have to say, like, I would like Giants to win. But still, I see Fnatic playing last week perfect matches. They're playing really strong.
What about the bans from Fnatic side? I mean, we've seen a lot of this AD Kennen, obviously from Jim Bones. It's been a massive part of their lineup when he's been allowed to play. And do you think Fnatic will be go for that same kind of thing and say no way that we're letting this Kennen through?
Yeah, I think like in bottom lane from Giants, they are playing pretty much like AD Kennen, and if they don't have Kennen, they play Caitlyn or Ashe, the famous Ashe. Thanks. Cheers for Demon. They are playing like Caitlyn and Ashe, and in support they play only Sona and Syra. Mid lane he plays a bit more champions like TF, Kassadin, something really interesting to watch if Fnatic is not going to play Kassadin. Ryze as well, even Syra. And in top lane it's something I don't really like that, but Samus is playing a lot of Akali.
Yeah.
So we might see again Akali, not first pick, but like second pick from the top lane of Giants. And then in jungle, he can play like pretty much everything modern. He's playing Mundo, he's playing Bolivir, he was playing Lee Sin. I don't think he played Lee Sin anymore. But let's see what he comes with. And from a Fnatic, we're gonna see like Peke. What is he gonna play? that's probably the interesting question. In bottom lane, we're gonna see MF Caitlyn from Yellowstar. We're gonna see Leona, even Blitzcrank, or even that Thresh, famous Thresh from Unrated. In top lane, what Soa's gonna play as well is like Blitzcrank. He will come now with Karma.
AP Tryndamere?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm expecting a between them. Let's see. And Django, he will play Bolivir, I guess. He's playing a lot of Bolivir, and even Kale is playing. So let's see.
So where are the weak points in that Fnatic lineup then? To really break it down there, because we've seen so many times that they are just solid across the entire map. If you were to give any advice to Giants in terms of where that jungler needs to be really pushing the pressure, and where the middle lane, for example, if he's using teleport, especially where they need to be most of the time. I mean, where is that?
I think Giants will focus on the top lane. I think even Soath is doing a lot of picks. Samus can beat 1v1 Soath. So if they get like the camp from the jungle and they win that 2v2 or that 2v1 against Soath, they can pull something in that top lane. In bottom lane, it's also risky because Unrated is always playing aggressive. With any champion, he's so aggressive, but he always got the backup from the jungle, or even like the mid lane going bottom a lot. So I will say like you have to probably camp Soath and get some kills on Soath.
And what about the early game? We actually asked Crepo about this last week, as from a support player's point of view, and the early game situation. I mean, what is it like for you as a jungler? What kind of things need to be exploited more, or maybe what's been done too much? Crepo mentioned that if you watch teams' games back, like if you watch 5 games on the blue side from a certain team, chances are they'll do pretty much the same thing the entire time.
Yep, always like. Every time we study a team, you have to like take blue side, purple side, see where they exactly put the wards, because they are going to put it again. Even like level 1, you have to exactly study them, where they put in the wards, because they will put it again. And you can even like ping ward level 1, you can predict where they're going to put the ward to gank for the other side. So it's something you have to watch replays, you have to watch them playing to realize what they're going to do.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. We are ready to kick off our 3rd game of today. And, of course, it's going to be Giants versus Fnatic. We're going to go over to our commentators this one, Demon and Quickshot.
Yes, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You can see the players now are set up on the desks. Of course, we are a little bit running behind at the moment, but that is because these players, they have to set themselves up. You can see changing around on the main stage. They have to get the mouse settings, the keyboard settings. They have to go in and do 1v1s or whatever they do, mechanical bot warm-ups. Either way, they do have to set themselves up. So that is always why we have a little bit of delay. You can't.
The whole point of this is to have a tournament, is to have a league, to have the best matches possible. So each team is given 10 or 15 minutes warm-up time, practice time, setup time, and that's really what we're doing here. So they are setting up. We've got this match ready to go, and it should be a good one.
Yeah, well, coming into this matchup, of course, it will be the Giants on the blue side. And whether that will make a difference or not, we will have to check and see. But here you can see the teams on your screen. It is going to be Samax, Morden, X, Sturmin, Jimbones and Babetta.
And of course, for Fnatic, Soaz, Cyanide, Xpeke, Yellow Star, and Enrated, talking about the fact that Giants are on the blue side. It is, of course, because it's the second time that they're meeting here at the LCS. The last time was in week 1, and of course, Fnatic did win that matchup.
Yeah, well, of course, as I mentioned, the Giants will be on the blue side, and the man we've been talking about really for the Giants, and the man that Aranea was highlighting also, is Jim Bones. He's been playing a fantastic AD cannon, ever present as a threat, really, for the Giants team, and it's probably something that's going to get banned.
It's definitely something that Fnatic are going to have to think about and decide whether they have an answer to it or if they're going to ban it out. He's also played a number of Caitlins in this particular matchup as well. You know, with Kennen being banned out, he's had to fall back to another pick, and it appears as though Caitlin is his fallback choice.
Well, of course, Fnatic is their opposition, and the man we were talking about, N-rated, never really has a bad performance, ever.
No, and I think Aranea touched on it as well, saying, you know, he's just so reliable, so consistent.
He looks so happy in that photo as well,
super, super smiley and, you know, big happy, you know, N-rated. He's played Leona last weekend. Really great Leona ultimates. Earlier today, we gave Edward the MVP, and I think we need to give supports a lot more credit, especially now as the game has changed and they have an even bigger impact on the matchup with the changes to the items and the gold, etc.
Yeah, and he's also one of the champions, one of the players, summoners, I guess I could call him, I don't know. I hate they're using that word, though, for them, but he's one of the players that honestly can play a rather large pool of supports. He could pull out the Blitzcrank, which is what he used to do. Thresh, of course, is not beyond the realms of possibility. Zyra, of course, in there as well. Let's see what he does do, though, as the picks and bans get underway. Malphite and Nidalee being banned out by the Giants. Rise, of course, being taken away from Extermin in that mid lane.
Malphite completely targeted at Soaz. He's played 3 games with Malphite in the top lane already, and a number of times those initiations from that Malphite ultimate has been a single ability that's turned those fights in the favor of Fnatic. We were talking in the beginning, what are they going to do by Kennen? He has been banned out, so a respect ban from Fnatic saying, we don't really know, we don't like how he handles it. And interestingly, Trinity being banned out.
Yeah, well, they're like, well, if any team's going to pull it out, it could well be Fnatic. And Soaz, you know, he plays all sorts of champions. We're like, no, we don't want none of that. Thank you very much. So, like you mentioned, AD Kennen taken out there and Xin Zhao being removed. So, lots of openings for Giants here. Will they go with possibly a Thresh?
Kale's available.
Kale, yeah.
So the high priority picks, the Tryndamere ban from, you know, inside Spanish sources during the previous matchup. Aranea said that apparently Pekka has actually been running that AP Tryndamere in the mid lane a little bit. So you see, all the Spaniards, they know all the tricks, they know all the secrets. You know, good buddies. This happened in the previous game as well. There was a number of high priority picks that were available and teams deciding what they want to do. And it does look like Sona's going to be maybe picked and locked in here. Still 20 seconds on the clock. And interestingly, they might let the Kale just straight through and lock in Sona instead. I think that's maybe a risky move.
Well, they feel that obviously that crescendo is such a big part in whatever they're going to plan to run. So Babetta wanted Sona. Interesting choice. Of course, it does mean they are countering what Fnatic picks, which is another option. Of course, they do generally go with those heavy crowd control comps.
It's something that plays into the Giants' favor. It's the picks they like to do, you know, putting something like a Zyra in the mid lane. They've even had it in the bottom lane. Out of the 7 games that the Giants have played, 4 of them, Babetta has used Sona. So, you know, he's on a champion that he's comfortable with. We've also seen Extra running Zyra in that mid lane a number of times. So if they decide to pick that later, they're going back to their tried and true roots. But at the moment, Kale has been locked in for Fnatic. It's not a big surprise at this stage. The question is, what else gets locked in here?
Well, we do see currently Kale selected. There could be Leona for N-rated. Talked about how just amazing he's been on Leona in the past, and I think we're going to see some more big plays from him. So, Giants now, what will they do to this one? They wanted to counter it, but they don't really know where that Kale's going to be.
It's going to be interesting to see how they do decide to actually, you know, what they decide to lock in. You can see they were sitting in knocked in for a second, and I sort of went, well, it doesn't really fit into what we've seen from Giants thus far. They tend to be very team fight oriented. They tend to prefer the team fight phase as opposed to the lane phase. And somebody like a Nautilus or a Fiddle who will have a bigger impact in those environments, I think would suit what we've seen out of them thus far. But in terms of the last time they met, it was week 1, so we were on patch 1.74. One of the big reasons for their downfall was the fact that Soaz had Olaf in that previous matchup. Obviously, we're on 3.02 now, I think it is, so not available, and it does look like it might be a Fiddlesticks Ashe. So single target, lock somebody in, slow everybody else, allow them to put Crescendo on top. Last seconds, Hecarim, and you see again, Hecarim, Fiddle, Nautilus, it fits that AoE, crowd control effect, team fight presence is what they're looking for.
Well, Hecarim has been almost a standard ban for the North American scene in the last few days. Seems to have finally been picked up
The question
by the
is,
Giants.
is Morden's horse amazing?
Well, we will see.
That is the question.
I want to know whether it tastes like raisins.
Or whether or not it's no, it's horse meat that's the problem, isn't it? So we'll see if we can get another reference in there at some point. Fnatic, 2 more picks to decide how they want to play this out. They know what the bottom lane is going to be for the Giants. It is going to be the Sona and the Ashe. I imagine it's going to be somewhat, passive with the exception of the poke. If they get some good power chords down from Sona as well as the volleys, it's going to allow the Giants to push in. And once they hit 6, it's a scary dive combination. Beck is sitting on Ziggs, but it hasn't been locked in yet. And I think you'd love it if that did get locked in.
I'd be fairly happy. I like Ziggs. I'm a big fan. Definitely used to be one of the champions I played, but he's a high-skill champion that really is... I don't think it really suits the team play because there's ways around him. There's ways to counter him.
Everything can be dodged. That's the problem with Ziggs. Every single one of his abilities is a skill shot or a positioned ability. So if you position yourself correctly or you're on the ball in terms of stepping left, stepping right, you can avoid those bouncing bombs. It does get swapped out to Shen, so we'll most likely see... Although you could have Shen top, you could have Shen jungle. Soaz has run Shen, Cyanide has run Shen. We've seen Peke running Kayle, we've seen Cyanide running Kayle. So Fnatic still not really showing their hands at this exact moment in time.
So Misfortune has been picked up by Yellowstar, though. Of course, he got that enormous score against EG last weekend. Obviously facilitated by the fact that his team were feeding him.
And actually, that's a very similar comp to what we've seen out of them from last weekend. Now that I think about it, they had the.
What do you think? Blitzcrank may well sneak in at the end.
I don't know if it would sneak in at the end. It depends on how they want to play it. I think part of the reason they picked Blitzcrank last weekend was because they needed to play. But Garen has been locked in, so
and
this is probably going to be a top lane. Diana not. Too surprising at this level of play. We see them.
We saw Peke running Diana last week.
Running. We've seen Skara running it a couple of days ago as well over in NA, using it to fantastic effect. So Diana could pick. Garen, though, is the question. And I'm interested to see how it's going to play out in this team fight comp because he's a monster in lane. He's an immovable object. His passive, the sustain, the amount of damage he can get down at low levels, and once he picks up something like a Brutalizer and the Black Cleaver, it's very, very scary if he decides to go for that DPS Garen route.
Well, as it stands, we are waiting for the final choice. Will it be Peke on Kayle? Will he pull out something new, something old?
Or something blue?
I knew that was coming. I left it open for you.
They picked up something blue in the form of Shen if they decide to stick with his default skin. The last time they ran this, I'm taking a look at the composition right now, was Blitzcrank, Kayle, Leona, MF, and Katarina. But it looks like Peke is going to take his Zyra. And it's something we've seen time and time again. And it's purely for disengage. It's purely disengage. If Garen, Diana, and Hecarim are diving at them, you're literally just going to see those grasping roots and Stranglethorns going down saying, nope, don't want none of that, don't touch me. And then once they've picked the target, they can go in, and it's purely for a engage, disengage. The thing that's nice is with the composition that they've got, you can have Kayle diving in, you can have Leona diving in, you can have Shen diving in, and they have the ability to play aggressive and defensive with their composition.
I'm going to test your knowledge now. Is this the first Garen we've seen in the LCS?
I'm 99% sure this is the first time.
Definitely the first European one.
Yeah, it's European side. It is definitely the first. I'm having a look at the picks and bans. We'll check the list a little bit later.
I'm pretty sure it's the first one as well. So we're seeing some new champions this weekend. Of course, 3.01. I am going to go out on a limb and say Garen was bugged. There was a bug, an exploit, which he was not actually allowed to be used. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that one, but I'm probably going to get shouted at. He's like, what are you talking about? Don't mention that on air. But I think that may well have been in the case. But we are in 3.02, of course. 3.03 just hit live service today, I believe, or it may be hitting it right now. I'm not too sure.
NA has been patched. EU will be patched a little later today. Valor. Yes, Quinn and Valor is released. If you haven't seen her and her birdie yet, go check them out. I still haven't looked at the patch notes for that one. There's too much. But we are on 3.02 at the moment. And it is going to be Garen versus Shen in this top lane. I fear for Soaz's Shen in these very early levels. The amount of damage that comes down from the combo that Garen can put down with his spin to win with the silence, it is terrifying. And the sustain and the faint shield from Soaz's Shen is not really going to be enough to help him win these first 3 or 4 levels trade. So I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on Samux to get the advantage and try to put himself in a snowball position.
Well, if you just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to get underway. It is going to be the Giants as the blue team and Fnatic as the red team as we do get things started. So, nothing crazy coming out from the first buys. Nothing out of this world. We do see 2 pink wards being picked up by N-Rated and just the 1 for Babetta. So we'll see. Oh, actually, Yellowstar going straight into the bush on towards Jim Bones. He may be able to catch a lot of damage on him. Shouldn't be able to finish him off. Do not want to pursue in towards that bush, but even trade between the two. And that was a very, very fast run from Yellowstar to get into that tri-bush.
Yeah, well, with having Strut, it's such a benefit at these low levels.
He's standing on a ward. We could see N-Rated actually engage here through the bush, and he is going to catch him. The stun comes straight down the route, immediately gets caught out, and the ghost was used, but that's more than going down, and it's Soaz that picked him up, and that was all about the early ward placement in that bush, something that gets defended so often.
And something that we talked about time and time and time again, and we're trying to highlight these early level games. You mentioned it, Giants had blue side. This is the first time that they faced off against Fnatic in this position, but Fnatic have done their due diligence. They've gone home, they've looked at the replays, they've said, what have Giants done? How have they started? On their defensive starts, where did they position? And Fnatic planned out their engagement. We did see N-Rated starting with his Zenith Blade, his E, so, that was the initial opener. It's got that tiny, tiny roots on it, held him in place just long enough to get the grasping roots, and it was a very good start for Fnatic. It also helped Soaz with his early levels. You can see he's already picked up that cloth armor, afraid of the damage that Samus is going to put down.
So Morden starting out over on the Wolves, getting a lot of help there, and actually Garen picking up the experience off the small Wolves, so we'll see whether that benefits him going in towards that top lane. He is going to be against a duo pairing by the looks of it. N-Rated is going to help out Cyanide on that red buff, so we'll see whether Cyanide goes aggressive anywhere as well with that Kale, as Morden goes for the blue.
And pick up their buffs, going to just reset, move themselves back into the lane. And you can see again, even Fnatic deciding, look, we don't want to do this 1v1 lane. We prefer our odds in the 2v1 situation, especially because Garen, if he doesn't really get some items, I don't really know how well he's going to translate into this mid and this late game. It's a champion we don't see at this level of play very often. And if he doesn't have damage, how's he going to get caught?
Well, he's going to get stunned out there, and a double up from Samuk onto Samuk, from Yellowstar. It's starting to force him away, of course. He's going to have a bit of problems in this one. How does Garen stand up in a 2v1 lane? It's like I say, I don't think we've ever seen him in the LCS so far.
It's going to come down to his timing on the use of his judgment, his spin to win under the tower, because it's got a lot of damage. It'll deal, AoE to every single creep. So I think he should be able to farm well under the tower, but it just comes down to practice.
He's got a good benefit from his passive as well. Oh, catching N-Rated there, a little bit of a poke on him.
Back to full health already. His passive is already generating 20 health per 5 seconds, so 4 HP per second. When you see those little green flashing lights, he'll always be relatively healthy in lane. The question is, if N-Rated catches him, does Yellowstar's Misfortune have enough damage at these low levels to get through his defensive shield?
And the more to the point, do we see that stacking North American... I think it's safe to say North American style, since they've just done it about 12 games over the weekend. But that stacking style on towards the turrets, it's happened so many times across the board. We see the ping ward of N-Rated being put down. So Samux is going to realize something is up, but you can see Morden just off in the distance. He's ready and waiting to come charging in. It's N-Rated tanking the turret up. They're trying to catch on towards him. Has to flash away. The minions are going to do the damage, but they do protect the tower. And this is exactly what we've been talking about with the same meta that's been happening. There's ways of defending it. It's very easy to counter if you do it right, and Giants are ready for that one.
The timing there from Morden was point number 1. He was moving up towards the lane at 3 minutes 20, 3 minutes 25, so he was going to be ready for that 3-man gank, 3-man dive. You can see a number of vision wards from Fnatic as Samux gets stunned.
Samux this time is going to get stunned out. He tries to go in, spins the win on towards N-Rated, but the damage is actually pretty heavy. One more shot, not going to be enough on Samux, and he's going to walk away.
He's going to get away with his life, but Flash and Ignite is still available. He didn't even burn his summoner spell to get to safety, and the reason he survived that gank, he put the silence down on N-Rated, landed that decisive strike, the Q for Garen, prevented the stun, the combo from N-Rated going down, and you've seen N-Rated was the one that was forced to flash to safety, needed to get out of there because the amount of damage coming out of Samux's Garen was just really, really high.
So the question is, who lost out with that? Because for that move, Fnatic burned 2 pink wards in that top lane. Meanwhile, Jim Bones and Babetta down the bottom here, they've just put that 1 ward up by the Dragon entrance and continued to pressure on the turret. Good great aggression there towards Jim Bones. Has to force the flash and the cleanse from Soaz. That Shadow Dash caught him, taunted him under the tower, managed to get 2 tower hits down, but they do walk away. 2 summoners burnt for Jim Bones.
You were asking who came out worse in that situation. Fnatic have obviously suffered the financial loss in terms of the money that they put into that lane. And I was going to say, in terms of experience, etc., Samux was a little bit behind, but he's had a massive wave under the tower to farm with and keep pushing. So, even though there's that minute goal difference between Fnatic and Giants right now, it's all been invested into awards. It's a bit too early to say how much of a difference there's little ganks will play, but well played to Samux. He's keeping himself alive. He's farming relatively well. The thing is, how much of a presence is he going to have once his team fights hit? Stand United from Soaz as Shen is going to be much more instrumental, saving team fights, setting up ganks, global presence, and Samux is going to continue to be in the right place at the right time to have an impact on this game.
And we are seeing the total biscuit on Soaz as well. How deep do you think he's gone in towards that utility tree?
Well, pretty deep, actually, because that Biscuit is around, 13, 14 points in at least. I'm taking a look at his runes as masteries, but he sets up in the bottom lane.
He does. You can see N-Rated coming in there. He does manage to catch Samux with his Xenox Blade, but nobody else was expecting it. They were just like, oh, he's gone too far. Oh, wait. Sorry, N-Rated. We forgot you great at Leona.
Yeah, landing every single Zenith, holding Samux in place. They're going to need a little bit more damage because, one thing that you've got to remember with Garen, he's got damage reduction whenever his W is up. I'm trying to take a look at the numbers.
And with the armor as well. He's going to be very tanky already.
30% damage reduction for 2 seconds. So in that instant when you get caught, it's such a huge effect. And at these low levels, before you've got any sort of penetration items, before you get any real damaging items, you're not going to have enough oomph to get through that DPS of Garen. But the first tower probably going down for Giants here.
Yeah, and the oomph is coming out, and there is the turret going down. So Giants pick up first turret blood. I'm not sure. Blood. Oh, the Zyra ultimate coming out there, and Extermin immediately dashes away with his own ulti to escape that. And Peke, well, to be fair, Peke was close to being removed from the map, so it was safe that he had to use that ulti, so both ultis burned out there.
This is an interesting lane as well. We haven't actually given much love to this middle lane of Peke and Exter, and Exter's doing relatively well. He's gone the double Doran's Blade first, no boots just yet, and he's only 10 CS behind. On a melee champion like Diana, who's fairly mana dependent in these early levels, against the immense range of Zyra, it's credit to Exter's play that he's keeping himself in this match, he's keeping himself relevant. And when you consider the combination of an Ashe arrow into a Hecarim dive, into Diana dive, into Garen as well, they can blow a single target up as soon as that Enchanted Crystal Arrow lands.
We do see the pings going down from Morden there. They're aware that he may well be going into that bush. Cyanide can't help out because he's very low on health, so this duo lane of N-Rated and Yellowstar is suddenly going, oh, hang on a minute, we've got 4 people in this top lane. Guys, we kind of need help here, and it does mean they are going to stack up on that turret, and it's going to be the second turret of the game for the Giants. I don't think Fnatic are going to be able to do anything to really prevent this one. Yellowstar is coming in. Oh, look at that. Falsified aggression. That's what I like to see. You can see an ulti being burned out there from Yellowstar. They're trying to keep hold of it. The turret does go down. Can they counter it, though? We do have Peke coming in, but it's not going to work. The bluff did not work.
Yeah, the bluff didn't work, unfortunately. N-Rated was trying to get in range, trying to set it up, but one of the things that he did not have is Solar Flare. The ultimate wasn't there to lock everybody up, so the rest of the team didn't have that ability or the time to get into position quickly enough. The thing is, the Giants have got 2 towers to 0, and they're only 200 gold in the lead. Almost every single lane is currently out-farming the Giants for Fnatic, so they're doing very, very well, and if they go on, a tower-killing spree, which is not uncommon in this, 10 to 20-minute marks, they're going to pull ahead in terms of that gold advantage. So Giants doing well to keep themselves relevant, but they need to get some kills or put some more pressure on the jungle buffs or the dragon to, get the lead in this matchup right now.
Well, it's a far more passive game in terms of kills, but the farming session is keeping up, and we do see coming up towards that 10-minute mark, we will probably see some of the AD carriers hitting that 100 mark, as well as the mid laners. Currently, though, we do see aggression in this top lane. Is Jim Bones and Babetta both being focused. The arrow coming out, forced on towards Yellowstar, so ulti having to be burned out there. Remember, Yellowstar did just use his ulti a moment ago.
N-Rated just got Solar Flare, so if he gets it in, it's going to be in trouble.
Oh, Zenith Blade flashed out. That's going to be the Shen ultimate. Stand United is going to come in, but they can't get deep enough, and Jim Bones' flash was just up. Do you think there's slight mistiming there, miscalculation in the summoner spells? Oh, hang on a minute. Cyanide coming round. He's going to walk straight through the pink ward, but we do also have Extermin making his way through. This could backfire horribly for Fnatic. They are going to take Jim Bones, though, and they're going to have to back off this one. It's going to be Fnatic turret.
Easy turret kill there, just managing to lock Jim Bones up, knowing that the cleanse wasn't available, knowing that the Enchanted Crystal Arrow wasn't available. You mentioned the point about his flash. They knew it was down from earlier, and this is the counter-engage that Xpeke can have.
They're going to try and go towards Peke, but he got a grasping route on towards Extermin. It should keep him away. Puts his ultimate down, realizes he's going to get caught out, spinning to win, and then comes the Hecarim. But immediately invulnerability does try to prevent the death. Instead, can they turn it around? Fnatic going aggressive now towards Extermin. Oh, the Zyra passive catching on towards Extermin as well. One more double-up shot, possibly from Yellowstar. Can't quite land. It doesn't have the mana.
Just not enough mana. If he could have got that double up and, aim it just right, Exter could have been in trouble. But a good gank there from Giants. I was asking, how does Garen make himself relevant? And he just runs through the front. No questions about it. Hits that Q, gets the movement speed increase, and manages to shut down Peke.
Oh, possible false call here. Fnatic have called for ping towards the Dragon. They want to start it out. I'm not sure, if this is a right move for them.
Hecarim doesn't have his ultimate, so he cannot dive in. They know that Exter was missing on that Diana. The thing is, Babetta, he's still not level 6. There's no crescendo.
Jim Bones top still. Unless he fires that arrow down the river, which he's not going to, it is going to be an easy pickup for Fnatic.
Yeah, the tools that Giants needed to contest that simply were not available to them. There was no crescendo. There was no, spirit or the dead rush from Hecarim. I've just forgotten his ultimate name. Onslaught of Shadows. There we go.
Hold on a minute. Internet.
I was thinking
Quick shot, forgot a spell name.
I was thinking Spirit of Dread. It was his W I was thinking of, but yes.
All that preparation for Xerath and now you're Petering him here, and you just forgot about the horse.
I just forgot about the horse. My horse was not amazing, unfortunately.
No, it was just a little pony.
But Fnatic secure the Drake. They extend their gold lead right now, and they have the answers to deal with the aggression that Giants are putting down. Giants try to push lanes, so Fnatic sort of grouped up and they push themselves. They push Dragon when they've got the advantages and they've got the numbers, and I think right now it's up to Giants to find that gear where they can, exploit a chink in Fnatic's armor.
Well, we'll see whether they manage to push through, because Giants are getting aggressive on towards this mid lane. Actually, Peke getting caught out, but immediately invulnerability, but a crescendo hits 3 members. Peke surely going to drop down, but Samux, the last little piece of bullet time manages to catch him out.
And completely shut down. It was a good initiation there from Giants, but that Stranglethorns knocked everybody up in there, completely interrupted the Giants' flow. They weren't able to continue fighting. Samux's ultimate is still available, though, so he's got that execution ability if anybody is low. I was just looking at N-Rated's HP, they're around about 40%. If he decided to dive back in, that's within, ulti range for Garen to shut him out and pick up another kill.
We do still have Jim Bones sticking around in that mid lane, making sure it doesn't get completely abandoned. He could actually push a little bit here. There is only N-Rated defending it, but he's just going to keep on the farming session and keep the CS going. Let's have a look across the board, Trevor, and see what exactly we are going to get built up, because we can see the items coming up, the gold in there. We did see the double Dorans, of course, coming out from Extermin earlier on. That's actually going to... it helps early on, but it's going to hinder him now. Yeah,
the fact that it doesn't upgrade, but he does have 2 kills in his back pocket, so that's definitely going to help us. Yellowstar gets collapsed upon.
Yellowstar gets diving in there. He's getting clippity-cloppity on him, and Samux is going to whirlwind through, but Stand United was forced, and he forces away. It's an ulti for an ulti.
Ulti for an ulti, not too bad. The thing is, Yellowstar also burned his flash there to get over the wall. So flash, barrier, and the ultimate. Giants are going to be relatively happy with that trade. That ultimate from Hecarim, it's not the longest cooldown. No, it's actually, I'm lying. Rank 1, still 140. It'll be dropping as it goes on. I think it's down to about 100 at max rank. Once he eventually starts getting into that dash and continues diving, Samux has a Giant's belt, still no AD, but once he does get that damage, it's going to be a scary combo, because Yellowstar was dropped incredibly low, even with that Shen Shield and Barrier.
I tell you what, though, look at Fnatic, look at that, look at all those wards. They are looking to try and cover this map and maybe start to create a play. No Oracles picked up yet, but they are certainly stacking out the wards. They've got 2 pings in there as well, so expect to see N-Rated start to layer out the map with the rest of the team, spread across the whole place as well. So Fnatic looking like they may well try and pressure in towards his mid lane, I think.
Inkster is hanging, just farming up a little bit. He's still got his tower to fall back to, 2 towers to 1 at the moment. Fnatic still with that very small gold lead. Peke is going to pick up this blue buff, so that'll definitely help him out just in terms of continually keeping people under control and holding them on the back foot. Something that we haven't actually taken a look at just yet. He has obviously maxed out his Deadly Bloom first, that is the Q, and following it up with his Grasping Roots. Garen's the one that I'm a bit interested in right now in terms of how he's scaling, because we don't see him very often. He's decided to go for Judgment, the spin to win first, and then following out with a massive burst from Decisive Strike, his Q, which applies the silence.
Not going to keep the aggression on towards that top turret. Instead, they're going to collapse on towards his top. Jimbones and Babetta, they need to make tracks, because already heading up the river is Peke and N-Rated, and you can see Yellowstar starting to come around. Cyanide's closing in from the top there. The arrow turned on towards from Jimbones on towards Yellowstar, but he immediately clears that off. There's going to be the crescendo to try and stop the bottom push. Jimbones is dead man here. There's no way he's going to turn this one around. He's going to try and get some aggression back on Yellowstar, but he's picked off beautifully, and that was a nice collapse from Fnatic. Is he going to create any situations on the map, though?
Take a look at Samux. Samux is on the bottom lane. He's been pushing the entire time. Soaz is going to come and try to interrupt him. He does have that Sunfire Cape, so a lot of the physical damage will be at least reduced. Just misses the taunt underneath the tower, so Samux just says, thank you very much, pops on his damage shield and walks away.
We do see Extermin getting pinged out there. I thought he may try and create something as they all headed back down that river, but it would have been suicide going in against 4 members of Fnatic currently. So they will back away. We do see the AD carry. He's gone back to buy, got himself that Bloodthirster, as well as that Fortitude pot.
Something that Giants are doing at the moment, which they need to, change just a tiny bit. There's Enchanted Crystal Arrows from Ashe. They've been used very defensively. In the mid lane, there was that, sort of tower dive, but it was too early in the game. It ended up, costing them a death because they traded 1 for 1. But once Jimbones and the rest of the team start positioning around, as a team, 4v4, 5v5, then they can just land that arrow and blow somebody up with Diana diving on top of them.
So as it stands, both junglers picking up Spirit the Elder Lizard.
Well, they're both auto-attack junglers, really. They both rely on the fact that they need to continually attack, and actually fairly similar in that they need their abilities to clear waves quickly. Morden's Hecarim is just going to keep rampaging over and over and over, Q. And of course, from Cyanide's Kale, he needs that Righteous Fury up for the splash damage. So it's not too surprising, and we do see that Enrage has gone very aggressive.
He's so deep on Extermin there. Just a simple Zenith Blade, and I'm in your face. And it's just going to force them away around the side, means he's going to go around to the Wraiths and away from this middle turret, which is already down to half health. We do have Jimbones, though, spotted just off the side there. Immediately they realize it. Dragon is up. We may see an engagement.
Samux is coming in from the river, though, so we'll see if this pincer movement does work out. Extra sidesteps the Glass Moons, and this is the Ashe Arrow. It gets sidestepped from Fnatic.
They were spotted so early on there with the ward placements that Fnatic had. Who obviously picked up all those wards. They saw it coming from a mile away.
Soaz is split pushing.
And the Soaz is on the top, but of course he can stand united in. It is available. And the Grasping Roots catch on towards Extermin. The plant's going down. They're keeping the poke back here. Fnatic still not 100% positive about their positioning, looking like Giants are going to try and take an advantage and go for the middle turret.
We'll see. It is available for them. They've got a creep wave up behind them. Morden's been caught out. A lot of damage, and he dives in with the onslaught.
Straight away, turns back in there. N-Rated's actually off on his own at the moment. He's a mile away from the fight. Cyanide getting pressure down here. The Zyra ultimate's going to pop them up. N-Rated forced to flash out of there. Bullet time used, but it's Fnatic to pick up the first kill. Samux goes down. The rest of his team having to back away now. So despite the fact it was Fnatic making the initial spree, it was the Giants that managed to lose a member, and now they're having to back out of here. That's Stand United from Soaz again turning a fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, they've got aggressive. Peke's going very deep. Extermin's going to he could get on towards a double or a triple here. It's going to be Cyanide. He's going for the passive turning. He snipes down Extermin, and now the double kill turned around. Jimbo's has to flash away, and again the Leona does get picked off there by Morden just off the screen, and now they're going to come back in. They can't take Dragon, surely.
Fnatic completely overestimated the pressure that they put onto Giants. Giants realized, yeah, they were low. They used a lot of ultimates, but they could still fight because they got so much damage down into the members of Fnatic. You pointed it out that the Stand United saved Cyanide. He still had his intervention, available relatively, but he decided not to use it at that engagement because the Stand United was down. The key in that engagement was the fact that Samux, melee, needs to run in there. He couldn't get past Xpeke's roots. He couldn't get past the slow. He couldn't get past the knockup. And he was just completely removed from that engagement. So well played. Disengagement there from Fnatic in that tight jungle. But completely, they stayed too long. They needed to back away. They needed to not try be greedy, and ended up costing them. What was that? 3 kills at the end.
3 kills, yeah. And that was just simply Extermin turning that aggression round. Very nicely played there. Well, we do see in the middle, Samux again, they're going to keep pressuring. They haven't put a great deal of damage down on this middle turret, which is what they keep trying to work towards, but Jimbones is yet to be able to get close there. The wave clearing from Fnatic is pretty huge. 6-5 in kills currently, just 1,000 gold between them, and that is one turret, and of course that dragon still not gone down.
It's actually something to point on as well. The wave clear from Giants is not necessarily as strong as the wave clear from Fnatic. You know, you've got Diana's, Crescent Strike and the volley from Ashe, which is relatively good, but Hecarim and Garen don't offer a huge amount in terms of fast, reliable wave clear. So if it does come to the sieging situation, Fnatic is always going to have the advantage because they can defend well and apply pressure well.
Giants are far too spread, surely. I think Fnatic could well get this before the peel comes in. You can see they're working it down. It will get taken. There it is. There's the arrow coming through, though, onto a cyanide, but they're straight into a bullet time. But Hecarim managed to pile straight through, and now the aggression comes through. They do manage to pick up one. So as taking low. Oh, my lord, Fnatic dropping all over the shop. Yellowstar taking low. Can he turn it around towards Samux? He gets one out of it, but it's only just a small advantage. It's a 4-for-1 and 9-7, and the dragon, though, for Fnatic. It keeps the gold tight, but it's another lost fight.
Fnatic have not been able to win a team fight yet. You've seen almost a full channel on that bullet time across 3 or 4 members of Giants. It did almost nothing to hurt their HP. The problem is this front line, the Diana with her shield, the Pale's Cascade, with Hecarim, with Garen. There's not enough damage from Yellowstar or from Cyanide's Kayle right now. And fair enough, there can be damage from Zyra, but she's not a burst. You know, she needs a bit of time. She needs to land a couple of abilities one after the other to really be an impact.
Sturmin, though, 5-1-3. We talked about the fact that he was going to get hampered, but it doesn't seem to have bothered him too much. He's got that Abyssal Scepter already picked up, and now he's looking to come in towards Peke. Does manage to get the Crescent Moonfall, pulls him back in. Zyra having to use an ultimate, but Peke is simply using it defensive. Stand United could turn this fight around. Extermin does get dropped. That's going to be a killing spree ended, and now Samux is having to back away, but Jim Bones comes back in. Oh, grasping roots, and a great shadow dash there from Soaz forces Jim Bones out of there, and now they're going to have to be flashing away from it. The arrow again used defensively. Still yet to land in a full-on aggression there, Jim Bones, but the horse is still pushing the top lane.
The horse is going to carry on pushing. He's up to the inner turret, and with Soaz being forced to use Stand United, he can't get there quickly enough. The thing is, Fnatic can carry on this pressure and get this inner turret, though, so I think they'll be happy with the mid-inner for top, especially when you see Morden has backed away. Babette's going to do the best he can to poke them back, but Fnatic, they won the skirmish. They picked the engagement, and that global pressure from Shen, it's just too powerful to forget about. Even though Samux and Extra picked the fight, you cannot forget that Stand United is there.
They're thinking about engaging this one, but they don't have the arrow, so you can see that Hecarim is just standing off at the side, but Fnatic are going to waltz on back. So Hecarim has to go towards the top. Morden trying to create the plays there, and they are backing away here. They've got to be careful they don't leave their middle turret completely exposed, because Giants are ready and waiting to go for this one. Hecarim is ready off the side.
And the Hawk shot came in from Ashe for vision. You can see he is going to start pushing towards that top lane, but if they decide to engage, that onslaught of shadows, it's such a huge range. You can come out of absolutely nowhere, lock an entire team up, and just buy the, Extra's Diana all the time she needs to deal damage.
Well, the grasping roots just missing out Jim Bones. They're keeping the double plants down. They're doing what they can. And of course, those plants will hurt when they land, because Peke has got that ability power up there with the Athenes. As it stands, we see Extermin off the side. He wants to get the little poke in there. They're trying to triangulate and collapse on towards Fnatic here. Are they going to fall for it?
Morden's way behind enemy lines. He hasn't stepped over a ward just yet, but he's about to find Soaz.
Soaz waltzing past, and his vision given away here, and again they ping onto Morden. They were like, where's he gone? That sneaky bugger. He manages to catch on towards Jim Bones. Crescent flash. Oh, and actually that's a complete miss on the bullet time. They turn it back on towards him, but Samux, the Hecarim had already gone up towards the top there. Extermin had already moved away. So when Fnatic engaged, Giants were just not ready to counter it.
Flat out failed. There's no other way to say it. Enrated Flash tried to land the Zenith Blade, but completely whiffed it. Thought that the rest of Giants were going to fight, so Yellowstar threw on the bullet time, and Giants just said, nope, don't want none of that, and they just sidestepped it effectively. So huge cooldowns blown, especially for Enrated's Leona. So we'll see how that's going to play out in these next 2 or 3 minutes. If Giants decide to pick an engagement, they have the advantage as far as summoner spells and abilities for the time being.
And while this standoff has been happening, it's been Morden and Soaz that have been farming away here, but you've got to feel that while Morden is certainly getting a lot of farm, Soaz with the farm is surely better off.
Definitely. You know, the impact that So is going to have in terms of saving people from engagements is key, but they're going to fill two different roles. Soaz is going to be there to save a team and to try split push, while you can see Exter's shoving the bottom lane. Morden, on the other hand, he's got that Glacial Shroud already, so got the armor, got some cooldown reduction. Once he picks up a Frozen Heart, it's going to mitigate the amount of damage from Yellowstar and Cyanide so immensely. The thing is, Morden will have much more of an impact in the team fight. He's just going to throw himself in there, lunging at the enemy team. And, you know, if he can displace 3 or 4 members, it's going to be so much more impactful than a Stand United and a single target from Soaz.
You know, Morden has been galloping around that jungle, taking every advantage he can. And he has managed to get it. Oh, Zenith Blade air on towards Samux, but he's happy to be engaged on. And again, they've just used another ultimate there unrated, but Giants just disengage and burning everything on towards Samux. He's that tanky now, he can take it.
Yeah, Samux has got, you know, a Giant's belt, he's got that Ruby Crystal, a bunch of armor as well, so any armor damage or any, you know, turrets and physical attacks is just going to be so mitigated. He hasn't completed anything outside of those Merc trades though, so I'm still so interested to see how he goes, or where he goes with this build. But at the moment, it just signals to me, I want to hit you, take turret aggro, and let the rest of my team kill you while I'm, you know, a brick in underneath your tower.
Well, it's just a 2,000 gold difference, 2,500. And honestly, to be fair, N-Rated's ulti is a really quick cooldown. So
it is. No,
blowing that to try and maybe make plays is not too bad, especially when it maybe burns a
Rank
cleanse or some sort of summoner spell.
No, completely agree with that. Rank 1, it's an 80-second cooldown. He's about to hit level 11, so that's about to jump up to rank 2 and get, you know, even shorter. So it's not a problem to burn that. But when you're doing in succession 2 or 3 ultimates in a row and they're not making plays, you end up being put in this desperation position where you feel, I have to do it more now, and it could result in them making mistakes. For the time being, Giants are split pushing. So
Dragon up.
Even though, you know, Fnatic committed and they went to that ulti, there was nobody else from Giants to collapse on them, you know, in that 3v3.
Here we go. Giants position themselves, as do Fnatic. We are going to have this standoff towards the Dragon again. The question is, who will make it count? Morden trying to go aggressive immediately there. Thought he could maybe catch someone out. Had a little spurt of speed to see if he could get Omnis, but better getting caught out. That's the move they wanted to make, and it's straight in towards the bullet time. The arrow completely whiffing through, but Samux is spinning to win across the team. Extermin tried to get him towards Peke, but Peke forced away. Intervention had to be used from Cyanide there. Was huge indeed, as we do catch Quickshot counting out there, but it's 1 for 1, back and forth, 2 for 2 now, 2 for 1, sorry, and it's Fnatic that are up in the lead. The damage really is just not there anymore for Giants.
Giants split up. They dove into that fight, committed, didn't pick the same target. The Solar Flare completely locked up members of Giants, so they couldn't move in. They were stunned, they were slowed, and it just brought all the time in the world for Morden to get chunked down by Fnatic. He was pushed out the fight, then they turned their attention onto Samux, and that Demacian Justice was blocked by intervention. The reaction time from Cyanide on his interventions is impeccable. He did it last weekend, and he's doing it this weekend as well.
Well, he managed to survive, and we do see Yellowstar going to be respawning. Has got himself the Last Whisper and Phantom Dancer coming out shortly. As it stands across the board, items starting to get completed. Zenith Blade being picked up by Cyanide.
Zenith Blade has been picked up, so no, that's the Zephyr.
Zephyr, sorry.
Zephyr. Yeah, I'm like looking, I'm like, hang on a second. So he's actually picked up the Zephyr. So he's got the movement speed, the cooldown reduction. This is something that we've seen Chaos doing on Misfortune. Foregoing his boots and deciding to pick up this item because, you know, with Misfortune's strut and the fact that you rely on your bullet time so heavily in team fights, it works out very, very well. And Jungle Chaos, it's pretty much the standard build. It's you know, not too exciting at the moment. What I'd like to see is how Cyanide builds from here on out, because there is a distinct lack of continued damage in the team fights. Yellowstar does have his Last Whisper picked up, so that's definitely going to help a lot against the armor stacking of Samux and Morden, but Cyanide's going to have to start alleviating some of this DPS pressure.
What would be nice, I think, right now would be for Jim Bones to actually land an ulti. I think would be a pretty good start.
To be very fair though, Fnatic have reacted well. So yeah, Jim Bones is throwing them out there, but it's also Fnatic sidestepping them at the same time. You know, even in the middle of that team fight, they still have the presence of mind to go, oh my god, there's a giant blue arrow, please move away, and, you know, and put themselves to safety. So yeah, the pressure is on Jim's, and we'll see how it plays out. If you're shooting it down lane, the likelihood of it hitting is going to be significantly higher than if you're lobbing it across a river.
And they're still trying hard to get on towards that turret, but it's just not working for them. Extermin is going to go off to the side here, and that may well create an opportunity for Fnatic. As soon as they see him in that top lane, they may just go for it. They have 4 members in the mid, and they are going for it, and you can see immediately they thought about engaging on towards Jims and Samox, and they just backed off straight away. Does mean that they're going to have to force someone up towards that top tower. It's Yellowstar that's going up there. Will it create any opportunities? We do have Enrated. He's going to walk straight in towards Extermin here, and they've got to be careful just off the side there, and immediately realized the danger, backed away.
I'm questioning Giants' decision-making now. For the last 10 minutes, they've been trying to do this split push. They've been giving farm to some of their carries, you know, more than up to 180 CS.
Extermin's going to engage on towards Yellowstar. Can he? 100-0, nearly caught him out there. One more hit, but Stand United forced in there. That's an ulti forced. It works.
Yeah, completely. No summoner spells used for Exter. He's got the ability to continue fighting, and he steals the red buff.
Was that wasn't cancelled out? That was cancelled out by Soaz, I think. I wasn't sure whether Hecarim created the problem down the bottom there, actually, while they were fighting, and they continued to get that poke on towards that turret. Just a couple more shots from Jim Woods will get it. But all this hard fighting, we can't discredit the fact... actually, Morden is going to come around the side. Oh, no, they thought about it.
For nothing.
They thought about it. He was trotting in like a man, but it wasn't happening. He realized he was just a horse.
You have to say he was charging in because it is name is spelled, but Jim's has been caught.
Jimbo's caught out there and has to flash and cleanse once again. Didn't use his arrow this time.
No, not this time. He has used it defensively in the past, but I think it's because he was stun locked. There was nothing that he could do. Enrated even flashed forward, got that Shield of Daybreak stun onto him, but nevertheless, Flash and Cleanse is burned. So if Enrated lands another Solar Flare, it's definitely going to lock him up. The cooldown is now down to 65 or 67 seconds at rank 2.
Top lane again, we have Yellowstar being positioned by Extermin here. He's ready and waiting in the bush. He's looking to see, and Yellowstar's like, no, I'm not falling for it this time, honestly. That top tower, you know, is actually very low. They've managed to do a lot of work on that. They keep poking it back and forward. I wonder how the bottom one's doing as well, because they've obviously been split pushing off the side here. It's been Morden that's always been the man off split pushing, clearing the wave, pushing that wave back on towards the turret. So they're losing the gold from that wave as well. It's been working well for them so far, and we do see Extermin continuing. This time, though, Cyanide is ready and waiting to help out his buddy Yellowstar, and they are going to get the slow. They're going to make it rain on him, and he's going to have to force the flash away. Are they going to collapse in around him? You can see he's got nowhere to run to now. The arrow could be used, and it is going to get used. It goes on towards Cyanide. Enrated caught out Extermin with the solar flare. The intervention on towards Samox now. And Enrated, what a brilliant Zenith played on towards Jim Bones. Boom! Settled it.
That's exactly what Fnatic needed. They've got a great skirmish team. They have the ability to deal single target damage and chunk somebody down. All of their abilities combo together in these smaller engagements, 2v2s and 3v3s. Giants have been trying to split push and let them skirmish, and Fnatic have started up this Baron.
Oh, and they are going to try and interrupt it, though. Have they got enough? Can Samox get in? No, he can't. Instead, they turn around on towards Babetta. But here comes Morden, trotting on through the team. And he says, nay, you cannot take it. But Soaz immediately replies and says, I'm a ninja. I can take anything.
There was a flash Shadow Dash taunt as well, which managed to, start that engagement, and it forced Morden to use his ultimate. Secures Fnatic the Baron buff, and Giants, they need to start grouping. They have got such a strong team fight team. They've got the ability to tower dive. They have the ability to push and, really win out these engagements. I don't understand why they haven't been doing it. They've been trying to split push against a team that's happy to split push,
Split push against Shen.
Exactly.
GG, man.
Who would have figured? Who would have figured?
It's not really working out, but the irony is, it's actually Hecarim that's doing the split pushing and not Samox. And look at that gold disparity right there. Just shy of 7,000 gold to 11,000 gold. That's huge. And all the split pushing that Morden's been doing, he's only 500 gold ahead of Cyanide. It's not working out for Giants. They have to change up their strategy.
Something that's also very interesting here, Kale has just picked up a BF sword as well. So if you take a look at the money, after this last engagement, I was talking about how Cyanide needed to get some damage, needed to get some DPS, and it appears he's heard the call because a BF sword on a jungle Kale, it's not something we see all too often, but it makes perfect sense in regards to this composition and this lineup. Yellowstar's been sitting on that Giants belt for quite a while now, so I'd like to see where he decides to, how he decides to go upgrade it. Will most likely become something like a Warmogs, of course.
Okay, what are Giants doing? They have a Fnatic with a Baron, and they're still all over the map. They are not positioning, they are just keeping the chaos going, which is what they kind of did against Gambit. I don't know who they are, maybe some Russian alternative band, but Extermin, as it were, is in all sorts of trouble, and he's going to have to run for it.
Xday is going to be able to get away. He was backing away before Fnatic was moving up into that lane, so more than enough time. Got his Zhonya's Hourglass completed, got another Needlessly Large Rod in his back pocket. So the armor, the untargetable active of Zhonya's, as well as the shield that he gets from Pale Cascade, it's so powerful that the presence he's going to have alone in these team fights is going to be huge. The problem is with this Baron buff, there's that like 4-minute pause timer that goes on to all these games going, we can't really poke, we can't really siege, and any fights we pick, they're going to have so much regen that I think Giants are going to be happy to farm these next few minutes, but they need to make a play happen. They're 8,000 gold behind. They've had map presence, but they haven't had map control. They've been on the map.
Maiden, he's somewhere straight away. Caught on towards Morten. The arrow used defensively again, as is the crescendo, and Morten has to use his ultimate to just get himself out of dodge because Fnatic are piling through in towards it. They have the Baron, of course. Oh, they caught Jimbos! Jimbos goes down, no problem. Cleanse had already been burned out once, and that means they're just going to remove him from the map, and the inhibitor turret will go with it. There's no damage coming out from Giants that they got to worry about apart from Extermin. Wow! Beautiful combined move. Has to use his Zonya's Hourglass to try and defend himself. Finally, they pick up the inhibitor, and Fnatic just back out.
Fnatic are going to be so happy with that pick. Jimbones cannot afford to be in front of his, front line. He needs Diana, Hecarim, and Garen to be there. They have the defensive stats. They have the ability to survive that damage. And before bullet time could even start being channeled,
oh, they've gone back in towards Extermin. The Shadow Dash straight in. Brilliant catch from Soaz. They kind of baited it out. They were like, there's an opportunity. If I stand aside here, they may try and pick up an exit kill, and I'm just going to kill them back.
Time and time and time again, Shadow Dash into Shadow Dash into Shadow Dash. Soaz is locking somebody up for that brief second. The taunt just allows the Grasping Roots to land, and the rest of the team just, easily stomp him down. It looks as though Cyanide's going for an Infinity Edge because he's picked up another pickaxe. He's got the red pot as well. The damage that is coming out of Fnatic now is over this peak that Giants can no longer survive it.
Well, Morten is trying to do what he can, but his horse is simply not amazing enough right now. And he is in danger of being completely caught out because he's going to walk straight in towards Cyanide, and Yellowstar's going to say, surprise! I'm coming round the side. Make It Rain goes down, but it was actually a misplaced Make It Rain. Good escape by Morten. Having to burn his ulti again, though.
Really nicely done. Morten is level 18. I think he's him and Soaz. There's a couple of level 18s on the game. His ultimate now around about 80 seconds, a minute and a half, give or take. So it's not too bad. And you've seen the range on that Onslaught of Shadows. He cast it from halfway through the river almost and managed to get out of there. So well played to get to safety. You have to talk about his CS though. 234 CS on that jungle Hecarim. It just isn't showing though because Fnatic aren't grouping up as 5. So the power that he offers, the strength of that ulti and the rampage, etc., it's just not being brought into play.
Well, he's going to have a Randians in a moment, and Giants duo lane might well get caught out up lane here.
From the side, if Enrated can catch.
Good position. Enrated has not got a flash available, so we don't see some crazy masochistic flash engages from Enrated. Diving in towards that turret instead. Giants with a 4-man defense here. They really feel they can do this. Of course, Baron has worn out now, so they are just pushing this in normal fashion, but frankly, the gold differential is enough, and they will take it down slowly but surely.
Take a look at that. Soaz in the middle lane. He's shoving down with the super creeps. He's going to start pulling some numbers away. And you have to feel that if there's somebody missing, Enrated's going to, he's not going to hesitate at all to throw that solar flare down. You'll probably see them stalling this next wave or two, because if you look at the timers in the top left, 45 seconds on Dragon, 2 minutes on Baron. If they don't pick a fight, they'll probably stall out for the next
They've got to fight. Soaz is continuing to drive those super minions into the turrets. They have to deal with this. And Fnatic just pushing, knocking on that front door, while the back door is already being poked. And that's no surprise from Fnatic. This is something they are so used to doing. It's not Peke this time around, it's Soaz. And he is just using a large size 10 boot to kick on that back door.
You can see it immediately. As the timers get closer and closer for the Dragon and for the Baron to spawn, the team just backs away. They don't want to get pulled into an extended engage a minute before Baron's up, get low, and then run the risk of losing it. So instead, push the waves, make sure the CS is in their favor and the Giants are defending, then go for Baron or Dragon safely.
See a little bit of CS differential across the board, and as it stands, we see Samoxy still not hit level 18, which is an issue for Garen. Of course, the gold was generally given across towards Morten, and as well as the farm, which is why he's got the levels, but Pepete still only 13 and rated 15. Big differential there. Still, if you land one of those top crescendos in the right place, it doesn't matter what your level is.
Yeah, and this is the problem that the Giants have. They've got such a good teamfight presence, but they're so far behind in terms of gold and items right now that even though they've got this amazing composition for 5v5s, it's too little too late, I'm afraid. And I have to question, picking Garen, he hasn't had an impact on this match at all. He's had one or two good engagements, but Morden has got good ultimates. He's split pushed. He's been on the map, but Garen is just feeling very lackluster.
You got to feel that something maybe more would have been picked. Maybe that's the reason that Garen hasn't been picked.
9,000 to nearly 14,000.
Yeah, well, I mean, Soaz has just been split pushing the whole time. He was the man that was off the side with Morden. So it's what Shen does. He's got Stan United. It's why you pick Shen in the first place, and it seems to be working for Fnatic. That slow, steady split push that I absolutely hate is working once again for Fnatic.
But they're doing well. They realized that they were weak in the team fights. Around 20 minutes, they lost 2 or 3 consecutive engagements and immediately went, whoa, what do we need to do to stop this? How do we deal with this rampaging horse? It does look like Fnatic can stop Garen. Nay, indeed. Managed to back off, change the spurs on their boots, and just completely took charge of this young buck of a horse.
Very good, very good. Garen being picked up there by Fnatic. There's absolutely no challenge from Giants. They seem to be almost resigning themselves to defeat here. Didn't have any opportunity to go in whatsoever for that one. We do see the Frozen Mallet being picked up by Yellow Star. Once again, just going to help kiting, I guess, if he needs to.
And if you look at the champions he has to deal with, as long as he dodges the dash from Extra or the Crescent Strike, hit it with the slow, get the slow, and then just kite, move away, attack, move, etc. Along with Hecarim and Garen, he's going to be able to just keep the distance. And it's something that we've seen Doublelift doing time and time again. He was running Vayne when he was doing it, so a little bit of a squishier champion. But against the dive power of Hecarim, Garen, and Diana, it makes perfect sense.
So we've seen this time and time again from supports, and still no boots from N-Rated.
Yeah, that's
41 minutes in.
Let's have a look at his base movement speed, 335. It doesn't even look like he's running movement speed Quint. So, Locket of the Iron Solaria, if you look at the items on N-Rated, it is just immense. He is
such
tank.
a tank.
He's not even a support. He is a tank.
199 armor.
It's insane. And that's before he adds his Eclipse, which is going to be an additional 70 bonus armor and magic resist. I mean, the numbers are skyrocketing. You add in the fact the utility that he has with the rest of his abilities, and he's got a Locket of the Iron Solaria shield, so it's going toe-to-toe.
You can't fight him anymore, Morden. Soaz is too strong. Back away, horsey.
Unfortunately, the ninja is going to be able to mount that horse and do what he wants with him if he decides to continue that fight, but Morden's just going to back away, and I think it's too little too late now. I think Fnatic are too powerful, they're too far ahead.
It's a shame it's not Evil Geniuses, because he could have had his wicked way with him.
Well, maybe we'll be lucky and see get that pun out later in the day. But the mid inhibitor has spawned. Extra's looking for an engagement. You can see he activated the shield, was trying to get into position so he could land, the QR combo, but unfortunately couldn't make it happen.
Well, Samax is trying to spin, but he's not winning. And that GA, GA? Where did I see GA? I was seeing the Negatron and I'm thinking GA. I'm thinking,
flash from Yellowstone.
And that's why the arrows are not hitting, because Fnatic are responding so quickly. That's going to be the inhibitor going down once again. They're driving it through. Soaz continuing to cause himself a problem with Samax in the bottom lane, but it doesn't matter because it's Fnatic driving through this middle lane where they are slowly driving this inhibitor down. Extermin's got caught out just off the screen. Hecarim's going to go for it. Yellowstar, intervention. Stan United also used. Peke's going to go down. They've managed to break through the front line of Fnatic. But at the back line being ripped apart, you can see Samax, he's trying to kite them, trying to do as much damage. It's going to be the supports both going down at the moment, but it is going to be Samax dropping down because Yellowstar being protected. Extermin and Morden desperately trying to back in there, but Fnatic are piling through the mid lane. They're going to pick up a Nexus turret here if Extermin can't stop them.
Yellowstar's completely untouched. They dive on Moonfall backwards. Morden's going to be in them as well. Yellowstar's HP is going down. Take a look at the Zonya's Hourglass. Yellowstar, is he going to go down?
No, he's not, because you can see he's just kiting round with that Frozen Mallet he had, and he picked up. It worked out wonders. There's the Nexus turret going down. You talked about the armor that N-Rated has. He does not care about the Nexus turrets. It's bullet time being popped out to wipe out that wave. They're going to take the Nexus. It's Fnatic. They're going to pick up the win. They get another win here. It's 2-0 in the League Championship Series against them. And, well, they have certainly managed to extract revenge over the Giants for all that pressure they put them under in Warsaw.
Yeah, so true. They played very well, but, even in that engagement, with a 15, 16, 17,000 gold lead, they almost got Yellow Star. That was 2 members, and if Giants had just grouped up and picked those fights earlier, I think it could have been a different game.
It could well have been a different game, but it wasn't. And Fnatic are the victors. So 20-12 was the final kill count. 58.5 thousand to 75.5 thousand was the gold count. We are going to pass over to our analysts. Of course, for this game, it is going to be Joe Miller, Jason Kaplan, and Aranea.
So here the whole time on the analyst desk, we were figuring out what is the exact counter to Hecarim. We found some lettuce. That's it. Don't even ask where that came from. So let's talk a little bit about the game, Aaron here. I've got all sorts of props. I pulled out a drill in my show yesterday. You don't want to know about that one either. So Aaron,
I can only imagine.
Break that game down for us. I mean, Giants, they didn't look bad at all.
Yeah, at the start, the early game, Diana was killing every single one of Fnatic. He was like 4-1, something like that, and in sprint, he was playing really good extra. But something didn't work that good was Garen. Garen was like half of the goal of Sen at the end, so it was like really, really low goal. And yeah, it was pretty much Garen get destroyed at top lane by the 1v2, where the 3v2 at the end was, because jungler was camping Garen and jungler Kayle was camping as well of Fnatic. But at the end, like Garen get like no farm, no goal, and Sen has everything, and he was split pushing all the time.
Oh, okay. Well, describe to us what was the exact team comp Giants was going for.
He was a going comp, like Ashe Arrow, Sona ultimate, and then you have like Hecarim, Garen, and Diana just full going to Syra and MF to destroy them. But they had like Kayle ultimate to stop Garen ultimate to stop that Diana killing sprint, and they have also like Shen split pushing and Syra to stop that combo with the ultimate with the E. He can just stop that go in and go back.
We also kind of saw, it seemed like Garen, they were trying to pick him to, or at least in my opinion, to stop the Kayle ultimate, because we saw him stick to Kayle every time, silence him, and then kind of burst him down before the ulti actually gets used. And as the game kind of progressed, they kind of failed to do that, right?
Yeah, I think it was like last game, in the game of SK against AAA, Kayle didn't use a single ultimate. And in this game, we didn't see a single good Garen ultimate. He didn't use a single good one. So that's a problem. But it's also like interesting that Garen pick is not the only European guy playing Garen. There's a lot of now European people playing Garen top. He's really strong, early levels. But if you get shut down like that in 1v2, you're not going to be worth it for the team.
Talking about Shen once again, I mean, we saw Soaz doing what any good Shen should be doing and split pushing that entire time in the bottom lane while the rest of his team's in the top lane. Do you think there was a teleport missing there maybe for Giants to get involved and stop that happening when you see a Shen on the other team?
Well, it could be, but they were doing like Hecarim stopping the split push, and Hecarim mobility is really high, so he can use like push and go back to the team. So it's not like needed, but it's also like on Diana or even like on Garen could be good, not Garen. Probably on Diana could be good, but still, it wasn't the point why they lost. They lost in team fights, not on the split push.
So we had to call an MVP, and again, 3 times in a row. And this is why we changed it, because we've got 8 games, so there's no way we could have picked an MVP after 8 games. But Jason, we decided on one for this game.
Yeah, it actually was N-rated because of all those Leona ultimates, all the Zephyr blades that came out of them. It was just perfect and spot on, and he really opened up the game for them. So
yeah, I think Jim Bones is going to have nightmares with N-rated.
Yeah, it is dangerous, and we know how strong N-rated is on Leona. I mean, we saw it all the way back when he was in Against All Authority with Yellow Star. They were playing a lot of Corky Leona, actually, it was back then. But either way, congratulations to Fnatic for that one. We're going to go over to the stage where Shox is waiting with Yellow Star from Fnatic.
Thank you. Yes, Yellow Star. Last week you went for Blitzcrank top. Giants said, well, we're going to put Garen top. What did you think about that team comp they had going there?
Well, actually, they had a full go-in setup, so we kind of expected it. So we had to counter-engage what they had, and we actually took Zyra to counter it. But I think it was a good pick because they could split push, and they have a very good movement speed. So it's good. That's it.
Okay, personally, you went for that Misfortune against Ashe. How did that matchup go?
Actually, it's about the combo because we had Leona as well. So when Leona can reach someone with her E-spell, I can actually go in. So it's good, but we actually swap lane because we can actually dive. but it didn't work because the jungler was here at the good timing. But overall, MF has more damage than Ash, and Ashero couldn't really do much because we were already in team. So we managed to stack up, and she didn't do much.
Yeah, that Leona really good and rated so crucial to your victories. How is the synergy with him, and how was it compared to Nif in SK?
Nif used to play a lot of defensive supports, and rated is really comfortable with Leona. So I like this playstyle, and it's really good in team fights.
Who would you say, or for you personally, the strongest bot lane champions?
I cannot really tell this because there are a lot of good bot lanes, and I like Leona and Miss Fortune, so that's why we play it actually.
Obviously. Thank you very much. Time for a short break, but when we come back, we're going to see the Copenhagen Wolves. Are they going 0-9, or are they getting their first victory versus the Evil Geniuses? We'll find out in just a second.